Welcome to our Academic Skills video series, hosted by me, your favourite librarian. This video is going to look at some basic organisational skills you can put in place to help during your time at sixth form. I don't expect you to have mastered all of these already, and Harris Westminster is different from your secondary school, so we are going to explore these basics in more detail today. To start, I'm going to ask you a question. What are the most important basic organisational skills? I'm sure you can think of some. Essentially, what we want to ensure is that you have the time and resources you need to do everything that you want. By this, I mean, for example, do you have time to do your homework and easy access to the work you need to do for this? That is one of the things we're going to look at in more detail, so buckle up. Secondly, is knowing what support is there to help you if you're struggling. Don't worry, we will look at that in more detail too. There are a lot of people here to help, so don't fear. Okay, ready to start refining your organisational skills? Then let's get this show on the road. Here is an illustration of two different types of folder. It won't surprise you for me to say that it's important for you to have somewhere to organise your notes and other paper-based items such as articles, worksheets and handouts. These can sometimes end up littering your bedroom floor or crumpled at the bottom of your bag, which isn't the best place for them. We therefore need to keep these materials in order so we can easily access them. The first folder you are going to need is a day folder. This is a folder where you will put all of your homework, prep, worksheets, handouts, anything else you can think of for the week or fortnight. This folder isn't limited solely to one subject. It houses all of the subjects you study at Harris Westminster, as well as other things such as CPs, UPCs and UCAS. This folder lives in your bag and should be with you at all times so you can easily access the work inside it. Now, we don't just want everything mixed up in this folder, so it is important to ensure we have some file dividers in there so we know which subject section is which. I would also recommend adding the date to anything you put into this folder so you can organise it more effectively and can easily refer back to something. And of course, make sure your name is clearly on the folder in case you misplace it. The second folder, or more accurately folders, are going to be your subject folders. These are the big files that contain all of the work for a single subject. You will take the work from your day folder at a regular interval and file it into these subject folders ready to use for reviewing and revising. Now, these folders do still need an organisation system in them. Don't just throw sheets in here and hope that they will organise themselves. File dividers again are your best friend. You could organise a subject folder by topic area, unit, module, writer, thinker, case study, time period, theme. As you can see, there are a lot of options. Your subject teacher will advise you on how best to organise this folder, so take note when they do. Now, I'm going to say something unkind here to illustrate folder organisation. Your folder should be organised in such a way that if I was to pick it up and throw all of the contents from it onto the floor, you could put it back in your chosen order easily and quickly. Of course, I would never do such a thing, but think about how you could organise your folder to allow for quick and efficient sorting. Make use of file dividers, add the date to sheets, and make time to file things properly, not just put them in and close the cover. Some of you may prefer to work on electronic devices and therefore have digital as opposed to paper-based notes. Again, we want to think about a consistent way that these are stored. One aspect of the digital world is that you can carry a lot more data around you with a much smaller footprint. You therefore will have all of your subject work with you at once. Although this can be of benefit, by the end of year 13 it can mean you have a lot of material to wade through even when trying to find what you need. We therefore want to think about a consistent system for our digital folders. Are you going to have a subject folder, then subdivide that into smaller folders? Okay, good. What are these smaller folders going to be? They will most probably work the same way as your file dividers would have done in a paper-based folder. Make sure you set these digital folders up in advance instead of dumping everything into a general subject folder and ending up with endless unordered files. And note as well to also check what name you are saving your documents with. You don't want hundreds of documents entitled geography work, so think about a consistent system for file naming as well. This could be the date followed by the teacher's initials and topic, for example. Now, something to think about with the digital world, and something that I hope will never befall you, but things can unfortunately be lost. Make sure that your digital files are backed up. You all have access to a suite of Microsoft apps, including OneDrive, as part of your school IT account. Make use of this. If you have any IT woes, make it a priority to go and speak to the IT technician who can help you. Lastly, it can be easy to spend a lot of time moving digital files around and reordering them at whim. As I have said, the important thing is to have a system and stick to this. Color coding can help, but often that just means you're trying to create an aesthetic as opposed to something of use. Don't waste your time trying to make your digital folders pretty. Make them useful instead. One of the most important things to note about Harris Westminster is how we communicate with you. This is done through your school email, therefore it is very important that you are checking this at least once a day. You will receive a number of emails such as those from the library, from staff, subject-specific emails, emails from the Senate, the list goes on. You will therefore want to have a system for organising your inbox so it doesn't end up as a place where emails go to die, with you unable to find anything or missing something important. An easy way to organise your inbox is to get some folders set up. Think about what folders you might want. You could start with a general framework of one per subject. You might then want to divide this by teacher. Again, there are no rules to this. Pick the best system that works for you and stick to this. You will want to also add in some extra folders for other emails. Maybe you could create one for opportunities, where you can store details of lab lectures, events, and other sessions that are sent to you. You could also employ an inbox zero approach to organising your emails. In this system, emails live in different places based on what needs to be done with them. An email that has been read and dealt with is filed away in one of your folders. An email that isn't needed is deleted, and anything left in your inbox is waiting to be dealt with. This way, you can easily see what you need to handle and don't end up with a notification showing 600 unread emails and an unending inbox. If you know your inbox has got out of hand, take some time over a weekend or break to do some filing and deleting to get it back on track. Linked to your email is your Outlook calendar. This calendar allows you to add the dates and times of anything of note. This is a wonderful tool to help ensure you know where you need to be and when you need to be there. A really easy first step is to add in the details of your lessons. You can set this as a recurring event so you don't need to add it each week. Bingo, now you will always be on time to your lessons and in the right room. There are a number of other things that take place in school that you will also want to add into your calendar. The school calendar, accessible on the portal, has details of everything happening in school, such as assemblies, house events, Saturday schools, etc. Check out when these are and add these into your calendar so you are in the know and don't ever rock up to assembly without a blazer. You will also have meetings with staff from time to time, so make sure that you add these into your calendar too so you don't forget. A lot of you ask me how I always know where I need to be, and the secret is my Outlook calendar, which gives me a handy 15-minute alert before telling me to move there. Your calendar is a really easy way to stay organised, so make use of it. Now, I'm not going to lie and say that you won't get homework during your 2 years of sixth form. I cannot unfortunately change that, but we can think more about how to help stay on track and organise this. Your homework will be set on Microsoft Teams, where you will receive full details of the task, including when it's due in, through the assignments feature. Make sure that you are regularly checking your Teams, and if you have any questions about the homework task, ask your teacher ahead of the submission date. A little note here. Make sure that you press the Hand In button after you upload your homework. It doesn't automatically do this for you. You'll be rewarded with a jazzy illustration which confirms that it has been submitted. All homework assigned to you will have a due date, a deadline if you will. I want you to think a little more about what a deadline is. It isn't when you have to do something, but the last point at which you can do it by. Think of it like a speed limit. A 30 miles per hour speed limit doesn't mean I have to drive at 30 miles per hour, but that the maximum I can do is 30. If your deadline is Thursday at 6:30 p.m, you don't want to be leaving it until Thursday at 6:29 to submit your work. A good tip here is to set yourself an earlier deadline. This way you can ensure you have enough time to complete your homework and submit it before that deadline. You could block out a set time each week to do your homework in line with when it is due in. Your calendar again can help you here. Stick an earlier deadline in it and it will remind you of this so you can make sure your work's been submitted. Homework can be a bit of a pesky beast, and there may be times that you'll fall behind with it. If this is the case, make sure you speak to someone about it. Sadly, however much you wish, it won't disappear in a puff of smoke. If you are falling behind with your homework or struggling to manage your time, speak to your tutor or subject teacher to help get this work back on track. We've had to think about homework, and I mentioned blocking time to complete it in, so let's take a closer look at that. You can see here an example of how a Year 12 timetable looks, complete with lessons and CPs. Year 13s don't have CPs, so that will be missing from that timetable. You may notice that lunch breaks aren't included on this. Apologies, it's our slightly wonking timetable at fault here with my formatting. What you want to do is to think when in your week you're going to complete all the tasks you want, such as homework, but also applying for opportunities, working on coursework or post-school applications, taking parts in clubs and societies, and many other things. We therefore want to block out time each week to be able to do so. The thing to consider is the periods of time you have outside of lessons and what you will be doing with this. First, we have the time before and after school. Do you want to aim to get to school early and get an hour in before lessons start, or prefer to stay after lessons end and knuckle down in the library? What about your free periods? How are you going to use these? How are you going to use the longer lunches as well on a Monday and Friday? Lastly, what about the weekend? At the end of Year 12 and during Year 13, you will have Saturday school on select Saturdays. What are you going to do with the rest of this day and on the Sundays? I'm not expecting this timetable to be completely full with blocks of study. Rest is an important part of study. Blocking out time, however, means you can fit in everything across the week, so you don't waste time thinking what to do in a session. You've already planned it out. Doing this thinking in advance means that you already have a system in place to try to counteract any stress around studying. As we've looked at homework and time blocking, I want to think about some study habits. You may well have had some routines in place during your GCSEs, or you may not. It is important that we have some tip-top study habits in place during sixth form, so let's think about these. The first is to have a productive study space. The school building is open from 7:30 to 6:30 every day for you to complete your studies. The library is, of course, an ideal place to do so, as it's a silent space allowing for maximum focus and access to many books to help you. When you are working at home, look carefully at your study space. If this is covered in papers and various electronic devices flashing at you, your brain isn't going to be in focus mode. Relegate your phone to another room so you aren't lured in by its electronic charm. Clear that desk up. Make sure you have some good lighting and some water. We want a focused, hydrated brain here. The second thing we need for academic success is adequate time. I've already mentioned that you don't want to be rushing your homework at the last minute, but you also don't want to be staying awake into the small hours. You are not a bat and therefore shouldn't be flying around at night. Setting regular times when you are going to complete your schoolwork, both in the school day and outside of it, help to ensure that you have enough time to do so. Do be sensible with this. Don't plan to work every Saturday morning if you know this is when you always have to take your younger sibling to five-a-side. The third thing you need is knowing the task you have to complete and what you need to do so. Your homework assignments on Teams will outline what you need, but I also mean here easy access to past notes and work. Luckily, as you will have an excellent folder system in place, this won't be difficult. You can see now why having good organisational systems helps, as in this example I'm not wasting my time trying to find my class notes to help with my English homework. I can access these quickly and easily as my folder is organised to assist me with this task. I I hope this has helped you to think more about honing those organisational skills. To end, I'm going to throw down some top tips to keep in mind. Firstly is to build a strong foundation. It may take a little bit of time to set up an organisational system or habit, but once you have it on the go, it's a lot easier to maintain. Take some time at the start of term setting up those folders, organising your inbox, and blocking out your time, and you are well set for the term ahead. Secondly, work out what works for you. You aren't going to have identical study habits to your friends, and that is okay. If you know what you work best later in the day, tip your study habits more heavily this way. Don't bring in your GCSE style of working and think this will be the perfect fit for sixth form. It's a different kettle of fish, so we need some refined study habits here. Lastly, remember that everyone is here to help you. I said at the start that there are a number of people here to help with your organisational and study skills, and this is very true. You can speak to your house parent for some peer-to-peer support or the Senate. You can also speak to your tutor, subject teachers, head of house, or any other member of staff for help with getting those organisational skills down to a T. You are, of course, always welcome to drop into the library or book a one-to-one meeting with me using the Book a Librarian tile. Do also take a watch of the other videos in the skills series to help hone your academic skills further.